Okay. Please state your name and your age for the purposes of this interview.
My name is Daniel Queen, and I am 24 years of age.
All right, so thank you for agreeing to do this interview. Please feel free to be as open and as personal as you would like to be.
Fair enough.
The interview won't go further than the people looking into my research, which is like 2 people.
Fair enough.
Okay. So I'm going to start out with the first question. It's kind of an icebreaker. Who is your favorite Disney princess from the official Disney list and why? These include Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana, Rapunzel, Merida from Pixar, Anna, Queen Elsa, and Elena of Avalor.
That was really hard, actually. Out of the list, I would say probably Belle. I've always had a fascination with French culture, and so Belle draws me into that story.
So Jessica's a French culture.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Also, I like how they respun her in the new animated movie, and so they've respun Belle more as a feminist, as opposed to this girl.
And this is the one with Emma Watson.
Yes, it is. It is, and Emma Watson does a wonderful job of portraying Belle as this, enthusiastic, intellectual female, as opposed to this little girl who needs to be rescued by this savage man. You know. I still dislike how it gives this ideology that women can change a man, especially one who's physically abusive. But, I guess it's not.
I was going to say, follow-up question.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments regarding this communicative violence that the Beast has towards Belle?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. I mean, from the verbal abuse that she ensues, from the yelling, and, the derogatory terms, even in the new one, made by the men concerning Belle being a female and not being able to rescue herself and thinking that she's, insane for staying with this beast, for dealing with these issues, So.
Do you think this is like a reoccurring theme in Disney movies?
Yes. The whole, damsel in distress, I guess, is like, been the main storyline of humanity forever, that women are weak and that men are strong, and therefore women need guidance, or women need some form of discipline if they overreach their bounds or whatever. I don't know how to put it into terms.
Understand.
Yeah.
Moving on off of that, the next question is, do you think that Disney princesses are effective in teaching and setting the standard for viewers on how to communicate well? Or do you believe Disney princesses are well versed in communication of any form?
Whenever I first read it, your question, I thought, well, not really. I didn't, see the value of Disney princess in communication. However, now that I've thought about it, maybe emotional communication, I would say. The ability to express love through song, or through dance, or, through, even some of these Disney stories bring in, the socio-ethnic backgrounds, and they're actually able to describe, some of the situations that they get into through the ethnic background. For example, in Aladdin, she's not supposed to marry a street rat, if you will, but yet she's able to overcome that in that socio-ethnic background. And I think in a way there's beauty in that. And so they're able to communicate, I would say, social norms, whether they be good or bad.
So do you think these are like appropriate social norms? Like, normally Disney princesses fall in love in one day. So is this like, is it like, you said they do convey emotional communication, but is this one that we want our children to follow? I'm gonna fall in love with this man that I just met. It's true love. Is that a message that we want to send? Like, this is the type of communication that we want?
And that is the question of the ages. That goes back, I would say back to Socrates, whenever he challenged social norms of his day. And,
And he died.
Exactly. And so I don't have a true answer for that. But what I can say is that I think that some of the norms it teaches, like emotional intelligence, or not necessarily norms, but emotional intelligence, whenever it teaches that, I think that's wonderful.
Do you have an example?
I would have to say...
Princess-wise?
Well, going back to Belle. She's constantly dealing with the beast, both in herself and externally, literally.
So interpersonally and interpersonally.
Exactly. And so she's dealing, with this beast internally and externally. And so now she's trying to convey how she feels to him and then help him convey how he feels to her.
Mm.
And so there's I think there's some good to be reaped from that. Specifically, teaching people, especially men in today's American society,
Yes.
about emotional intelligence, because we're just not raised with it, especially in the South.
In the South, for sure. Yeah, I've definitely seen that. Not to generalize or anything like that, but in my own personal experience and the experience of those that I've interacted with, on a personal level, I can definitely attest to that.
Honey, I've dated enough men. I know for a fact that men don't have emotional intelligence.
So do you think more men should be exposed to Disney films, or do you think that it would affect them the same
As
way?
Children? Yeah. I mean, I think it would definitely.
Would you say The Beauty and the Beast? Would you see that? Do you think that they would see Beast as like someone they would want to be like? And would this be good or bad?
Okay, there we have a double-edged sword again. Good question. I think Beauty and the Beast could, if with the proper parental guidance, could convey a different story. Of how to treat women as opposed to how not to treat women, of what is right to and just in dealing with individuals, and what is not right and what is not just in dealing with individuals. So I think that's a double-edged sword right there.
True.
Because I can see a lot of redeeming qualities, especially like I said with this new Beauty and the Beast. They portray Emma Watson so intelligent and engaged with her surroundings and with science. And you just don't see females in roles like that in movies.
Very true.
Especially fantasy movies. And to see her, in this new movie, she invents a washing machine, and that's wonderful. And it's fresh and it's new. And I think that would also play into the story with boys as well, because if you're sitting down with a boy, you can say, well, boys and girls can literally do anything they want. Boys don't only have to be the ministers, the rocket scientists, the politicians of tomorrow, but girls can be all these things too. And so, trade your tiara for, I don't know, for professional business suit, if you will. So, I think that there's a lot that could come of that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Moving on, question number 3. Do you think that Disney princesses have had an impact on you personally regarding communication?
I sing a lot out loud.
That's a good example. Did that stem from Disney movies, or is that just a personal thing?
I think that a lot of times, well, let me back up. I think a lot of the stuff that Disney has directly impacted me with in regards to who I am as, my societal norms. Disney actually has allowed me to challenge a lot of those, because they're cartoons.
Yeah.
You can, in your own mind, you can put anybody in that role that you want to be. But specifically with communication, I would say that Disney not so much has impacted me. Now, mayhaps it has, my own unbeknownst microaggressions that I have that I don't realize. It may have fueled some of those. It may continue fueling some of those. I don't know, because it takes close friends to catch you on those. And so maybe it's fueled some of that, almost talking down to women. Not that I specifically know of any instance where I have, but I'm sure I have as a man growing up in this society. I'm sure I have. And so maybe it's fueled into that. But mostly, whenever I think about communication, I think about all the great ministers and public speakers and activists. I've learned more from communication from going to a drag show and watching stand-up than what I have from a Disney princess. Because it seems to me that a Disney princess is, all you learn to say is help me, I'm powerless, as opposed to be empowered to help yourself.
Very true.
So,
but do you think, in the culture that we live in right now, Disney princesses are the norm almost, and
prolific.
You never see, parents taking their kids to drag shows, or, I know I've seen some, witnessed, excuse me, kids going to the Women's March and parents taking them to things like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see culturally us transitioning into
no.
that being the norm.
No.
So do you think maybe we can implement some of these qualities into Disney movies? Do you think they're not going to stray? Because you know there have been instances in Disney movies where people find out that there's an LGBTQ character and they boycott the movie almost. And you know they look over things like bestiality. but things transgender characters, gay, lesbian characters are just taboo almost. You know? So how do you think there's maybe a happy medium for those who
I believe moderation in all things.
Yeah.
So working with your children with content which is age appropriate first and foremost.
So this takes a lot of open-mindedness.
Oh yeah.
On both the exposer and the exposee's point of view.
And it takes a lot to understand that children, I believe children are able to handle a little bit more than what us helicopter parents and us helicopter children think.
Very true.
You know, now I'm not saying just to, you know, throw them to the lions, you know, and let them see whatever, but I am advocating that perhaps if we want to see change in society, that we should do it at its, you know, grassroots with children.
Very true.
That we should, you know, take away the pink and blue and let them play with yellow and green for a while, you know.
I like that. All right. Final question. Do you believe that the image of a Disney princess has created an image for how girls are supposed to look and act?
Oh my God.
And why?
Oh my God. Yes. I believe that it's actually, you know, fueled some of the bulimic, and, you know, these social anxieties that specifically women have, you know, because they have to be that perfect image. They have to always have their perfect face on. I was reading an article a couple weeks ago where this child, a 5-year-old child, thought she was fat. You know? What 5-year-old should be concerned about being fat? Right. But then again, I don't see any Disney princesses which are, you know, anything less than size 0.
Yeah, I know. I mean, even Moana, I don't know if you've seen Moana or not.
I have.
She doesn't have typical body standards, but still, she's not, you know, we're not really pushing the envelope that much.
Yeah.
Like, we're not representing bodies equally. We're not showing young girls that...
And we're not being realistic either.
No. And, like, realistic. Hair, face, natural, you know, it's hard on girls. And, you know...
And, you know, I this is one of my major concerns with the cultural standards. I wonder, because all culture has a patina of artificiality to it. All culture does. You know, because we, you know, have these super perfect ideas of how society should be and how people should be, which just aren't true. But I wonder if that adds to that patina, because now, not only are these girls being told you have to be smart, you have to be pretty, you can't be good at science or engineering, but then you have to be a princess. You have to be perfect at all times. What the hell is that doing to the psyche? Am I allowed to say that?
Oh, yes.
I mean, what the hell is that doing to their psyche, you know? What is that doing to their soul? And so that's the things that I'm concerned most about whenever I see these things.
What's it doing to...
Oh, yeah. And not only what is it doing, but how will it affect generations to come? Because whenever you throw the stone in the pond, the ripples on the outside are a lot bigger than the ripples on the inside. And so I wonder, you know, this ripple effect, I wonder what's going to happen to us culturally.
Well, any further comments? Additional?
No, not at all. I love you, and I hope you good day. That's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Queen, for participating in this interview today. Like I said earlier, your responses will be strictly limited to a few people, and upon your request, they may be removed.
Okay.
Once again, thank you, and I appreciate your time and comments.
Of course, anytime. Thank you, Paige.